When anyone, because anyone can do this, when someone either through a meditative practice or just a routine of going within, it could be a prayer, it could be whatever an individual does that brings them inside and quiets the mind, whatever they can do for that here. You receive guidance or inspiration. You've done that all your life. We just don't pay attention to it normally because we're not trained to focus on it in this reality. You've had things drop in throughout your entire life, again, and you still are. We just don't normally recognize it. And when someone does start training in this area, it's very easy just to take it to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. I'm sure you've witnessed, especially on TV, someone who is receiving information for someone else or someone who is bringing something forth here. They're just connecting to what it is. Imagine radios have a dial on them of some sort, and there are hundreds, if not more than that, hundreds of radio stations out there that you could tune into, but you can only hear one at a time clearly, and you have to be turned to that frequency to receive that channel clearly. When it comes to bringing information through, something almost identical to that occurs here. When we come into what we call 3D earthly realm, we're automatically tuned into this frequency here. And it's a low, dense, thick frequency. It's called 3D because there's height, depth, and width. But there are so many more frequencies out there, and the information that's available is at a little higher frequency. Learning to just tune your own dial, and it can be individual for each person. Mm-hmm. There's not one method that fits all, but through meditation, that's one form. You can be guided as to how to tune your frequency.
Is that when you hear ringing in your ear?
That's one sign. Yeah, it could be.
I have that frequently.
Oh,
I usually go, oh, what are you trying to tell me?
That's a good question, because there's a lot of symbols or signals that they give off to get our attention. I'll feel buzzing or you just feel things approaching at you. They're or cold chills going up the body when it's not cold out. So there's a variety of ways that they can try to get your attention. It's the beings in the other frequencies or dimensions. But when you want information from that higher source, you just learn to tune the frequency and then allow it to come through. What we're doing Evening with Source is where we're allowing the guidance, information. What are some common terms you like to use to explain where it comes from?
I believe that Goddess Source is all around us, is inside of us, and is a library of the past and the future, also a conscious and loving being, but holds the information of all time and all places and all things. And we are a part of that, so we're able to tune in to that information, whether it's just tuning into one person and communicating with their higher self, or the information that they hold around them of their past or their future. Or it can be even greater than that, and tuning into our soul, or angelic beings, or master type guides, or aliens, or whatever it is, and receiving messages about our spiritual development, or our planet, or history. I think we can access so much information, and we're starting to see a lot of people just online or even interacting with clients who are tuning in without trying and starting to receive these types of messages and information, and they don't know what to do with it or where it's coming from. So it's starting to open up to everybody. I think it's more like a remembering that we can do this, and just learning how to do it in a way that is loving and with good intention. And so that's where I think.
I was blessed, as I think y'all know, to go to Egypt a few years ago, and these civilizations understood all of this and practiced this and lived by this, and their information came from something much more vast than the human civilization. It was just incredible to witness all the structures they built and what they stored there as far as information. And as Sasha said, we're becoming more and more aware. People are tuning in. We both do the QHHT quantum healing hypnosis sessions, and our clients that are coming in, as Sasha mentioned, they're having profound, I call them downloads, they're having stuff come to them, whether it's in dream state or in meditative state, or just if they're just relaxing somewhere, they'll get just profound downloads of information, and they don't know what to do with it or where it's coming from, and they don't know, they don't have anybody else in their reality to run this by or bounce this off of. And so they're finding places like here, this facility, or QHHT practitioners to come ask questions. And so a lot of them come in with these questions. What do I do with this? What's it trying to tell me here? What should I do? What can I do? And so it's beautiful to be able to help them get that clarity and those answers. But our purpose for this session is just to, again, allow people to witness what's available to them. Anyone can learn to do this. It's not something just for a particular person, or it's a matter, it's like anything else that you learn to be good at. You practice at it and it comes. And Marie's shaking her head going, yes.
Yeah, I just started my spiritual coaching with Sasha today, and I'm really excited.
It's wonderful. Once you start actively asking for more information, it's amazing how quickly it starts to come to you. And it comes from everywhere, places you'd never guess. And I know now, looking back, things like going to Thailand, there were a lot of things I've done in the past that were little hints, little nudges. They were exposing me to things that opened my sights and allowed me to go, oh, there's something more going on here. Because you could witness those beautiful structures and what they honored and what they revered and what they were. You got an idea of what they understood, and it was far more than what we do now or what we did. Yeah, it's fascinating. But so what we'd like to do tonight is tap into that and see what comes through. Here's how I explain it. We are just conduits. I'm a conduit. I'm just allowing it to come through and translating it best I can. I will just get an impulse to say words, or it could be I'm not actually hearing. We don't actually hear words, or I don't with my ears, but they'll just be like a sentence that goes through your awareness, if that makes sense to you. And so I get a lot of visual. It's like a daydream inside of your mind's eye. And my team likes to use a lot of like movie analogies or song lyrics and things like that. But I get to try to decipher and put it into human language. Does it work a little differently for you, or how do you?
It's similar. I always think of it like I'll be at the coffee shop and I'm just thinking about life and what coffee I'm getting, and then all of a sudden on top of my thought, there's another thought. And it's my voice, but it's not what I was thinking, and it takes over and it's, hey, notice this or become aware of this, or I'll also have a daydream that just will overlay my thoughts. I've had them be, I realize now, past life images or timeline images or future. I have a lot of experiences with time, which is really interesting to me. So I'm really fascinated with just time and how it works. I believe we have the ability to manifest and move timelines. It's something I'm still working in and learning, but everybody has unique soul kind of gifts or wisdom or things that they carry into this life. That's what we get to learn about in these sessions. And being able to remember what those are and then express them in your day-to-day life, not even just in a spiritual atmosphere, but Bonnie tells me stories of going to the grocery store and starts conversating with somebody, and all of a sudden this healing energy is coming through her, and they're like telling her their life story. And it's just so fascinating how we're always guided in our life to spread love, to help each other, to help ourselves. And that's one of the things I've really learned and am learning, especially with us now doing this together, is the end goal really is love. It's interesting. There's no judgment or that we're bad or that we're sinning. It's all about, we want you to see your perfection and how beautiful you are and how wise you are. And that comes through the messages a lot. It's never like doomsday or you're doing something wrong or angry or anything. It's the most loving feeling that comes through, that you just want to be there all the time. So when I get ringing in my ears, I had it tonight as you guys walked in. I try to really tune in, because the ringing is usually followed by a feeling in the body. And if you get sensitive to it, you'll start to notice it. And usually that feeling for me is a feeling of comfort and love and peace, because this world can be so kind of anxiety driven and harsh. So it's nice to feel that peace. Yeah.
I have to tell Bonnie, you were told to sound people are coming up to you in grocery stores. So the next week, I was at the allergist, and a couple come in. The lady sits here, and the guy sits right in front of me and starts telling me all these conspiracy theories. And I thought, buddy, is this one of them? It was so funny, and it went on and on.
I usually don't get that, yeah. Usually, I'll just be doing something random, and I get, somebody will turn around in a store and just start asking me questions, but usually, there's something in their life that they need help with, usually. Like their husband has, for quite some time, I was getting widows. For a year after my husband died, I was getting widows every day. And they were newer widows, and they just needed someone to say to them, I understand. And then let them share what they, yeah. But
What to say to this guy?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I haven't had, now I got ringing real loud going on, so.
Sometimes it's just holding an energy. I remember this was many years ago as I was starting to hear things. I was going to a lot of different teachers and psychics trying to figure out what was going on, because this happened to me very spontaneously when I turned 30. And I remember calling this one lady who she worked with a being who would give her messages about people. And I'm like, why is this happening? What is my purpose in life? And she said, sometimes your purpose is just to be and carry a frequency. And you're going to be guided to different places to just bring that frequency and that energy. And even though we may not have an 100% awareness of it, but that man sitting next to you, there was something in your frequency that could help him, whether it's help him shift his perspective or help him. It's so amazing how it can work. But even when you become aware of it, even as you're talking to them, if you're observing the conversation, sometimes you'll even see a shift in that person, or they'll make a comment like, wow, I really feel better now that I got to talk to you, or something. You know what I mean? Some people, you're just like, I don't know what happened right there. I don't know why that had to happen.
I was grateful when they called me into the office.
Yeah.
You're like, I gotta go.
I've never had that experience.
Oh my gosh, no, but it is true. Because I kept asking early on, what's my job? I wanted a spiritual job. And I had that human mindset of you got to go do something. I need to be teaching a class or leading something or physically doing something. I kept wanting a job, and finally they were able to share with me that, as Sasha said, no, you don't. Your job is to be. And I couldn't wrap my head around that one here for a while. What do you mean? Just it didn't feel like it was enough. And then it was explained to me that I'm a transducer, which I didn't get that at all. I looked it up, and it was showing microphones and amplifiers. And then eventually it was explained that no, the frequency that comes from the higher source is a very high voltage. Here's what was shown me. It was very basic, but if I'll be simple. If God were to touch you on the shoulder, it's so high frequency that you would combust. It's too powerful. Even an angel, if they touched you directly or put their hand on you, it's just such a strong frequency that it would be harmful to you. So there are some of us humans that they have amped, they've been working on me for years, but they have adjusted me so that I can take, they call it voltage, I can take higher voltage. So I just have to be in the vicinity. So they'll have me go to the store for some random thing, and in the olive oil aisle of Fred Meyer, there's a woman that is lonely or needs something, and there's just a really strange and unique conversation that takes place. And while that's going on, literally coming down through me is a higher frequency that comes out, and the conversation will last as long as she needs whatever she needs.
That's weird, because now that you say that, I'm thinking of all the times it's happened to me.
Yeah. Now that we've talked about it, you're going to be shown a lot more of these.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter, once you start to become aware of what's going on, as the lid got cracked open a little bit here, take it off, then you start to go, oh. And if you're open to it, then you can ask for it to proceed. continually learn, practice at it, and you'll find this wonderful, beautiful. You'll walk away from encounters going, holy moly, what just happened? This is amazing. But it feels wonderful to know that somebody else benefited from that encounter. It's really beautiful how the conversation just ends very naturally and they go on their way. And yeah, it's just beautiful. And you know that something profound happened after you walk. The first few times I didn't. I'd get in the car and scratch my head and go, what was that? And then eventually, yeah. Now I recognize it when it's in process, but it's beautiful. But this is, you guys, oh, this is wonderful. This is why they're honking in my ear.
Yeah.
I was supposed to lead a clearing and a protection before we went into the state, so they want us to do that here. And I'll explain to those that are newer to this here, when you are connecting with that higher frequency and the other channels, it's a great idea to just clear and set protection so that everything is real pure that comes through. Does that make sense? So if you guys just want to, just follow. Pardon?
Oh, I was saying for your highest good.
Yes, we want, So we're just going to sit, relax, and you can close your eyes if you want, and I'll just guide you through verbally and just follow along in your mind. But what we'd like to do is take a deep breath in slowly, your nose, and then now as you let that deep breath out, just imagine all the energies flowing out, all negative energy flowing out and releasing out through the feet. And one more time, deep breath in. And again, any energies that you're carrying that aren't in the highest level, just let it flow out. And then now, would you repeat with me here, or follow me along with this verbally?
All energies, emotions,
And frequencies
and frequencies
that are not mine.
To release and flow out.
And just imagine just streams of energy flowing out both your hands and your feet. Just let it flow. Just let it flow. So anything that you might have picked up throughout the day or anything that isn't serving you in the highest good, just let it flow. I take one more deep breath in. And slowly let it out, and just imagine every last little bit of that discordant energy is flowing out, so we're nice and cleared of that. And now we're going to imagine a beautiful white light coming down through the top of our head, coming in, and I want you to swirl it around in the heart area. Just imagine it swirling around in the heart space, intermingling and swirling. And then I want you to imagine expanding out and filling your entire body. And then beyond your body, you have an aura. So imagine like a big oval all around your body. You're going to completely fill that oval with that beautiful white light as it expands out. And that white light is protective. It's safe. And then you're going to start down at your feet. Again, you're still inside the oval. It's like an egg you're standing inside of. And you're going to start to fill the oval up from the bottom with beautiful liquid crystal diamonds. So it starts to fill up. It goes over the feet. It crosses over the ankles. It's coming up the legs, past the knees. It's beautiful and glimmering and shimmery and just liquid. And it comes up past the torso, and it's okay. You can breathe in it, so just bring it all the way up past the chest and up past the neck and over the head. And you're just now completely immersed in that beautiful, shimmery, liquid diamond. It's gorgeous. It's actually light from the heavenly source. And now we're going to direct that a huge beam of white light, 55 feet in diameter, come down and just completely surround and immerse us. It's flowing through us, it's all around us, but this is our white light of complete protection and safety. It goes out. And then on the outside of that 55-foot diameter beam of white light is a beautiful ice fire ring of complete protection. We are completely safe. Completely safe. And we're now calling in our angels, our guides, anyone who wishes to come in and be a part of this. For both protection and also for clarity, we're asking for answers and guidance. And we're asking for the pure and simple truth and what will benefit us as we move forward on our journeys. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Does anyone want to share if they felt or sensed anything? If you're newer to this, did you notice anything?
I felt the light.
Oh,
And I hear
wonderful.
something right now, and I don't know if it's a radio or what it is.
I think it's the water.
It's what?
I think it's the water machine making a noise that sounds like talking.
No, it sounds like somebody talking.
Do we have something turned on back there?
No, because I've been hearing it too. I think it's the.
It's not, I recognize that. I know
Coulter,
it's
do you want to go
that.
flick the rainmate off? Just turn the button off. Let's see if that.
It sounds like I hear it too.
Interesting.
Okay.
Well, maybe some
That's
friends
what-
are joining us.
Maybe.
Maybe
It's
some friends.
like a low hum.
Oh, interesting.
Is that it?
No, that wasn't it. No.
Well, we'll see if it starts in again.
Yeah.
Well, we called in
Beware.
all the angels. Somebody was voicing there.
I had quite an experience, if you don't mind me sharing.
Yes.
As my eyelids were closed, and I almost, like that room with like the northern lights, kept going like this, past my eyelids. I kid you not. And then when you start talking about angels, they start going the other way. And I could like see like this. And when I first opened my eyes, I just felt like almost like I was coming out of surgery, like when you're really groggy and tired. And I'm not quite sure what that experience was, but it was very neat. Like it was, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just
Wonderful.
so unique.
It's available to you whenever you want. You can
Yeah.
just think, remember that feeling, and you can call it back in whenever. But it's just, for me, it's just a matter of learning to center and quiet yourself. I recently heard this, that praying is us talking to God, and meditating is God speaking back to us. In other words, so just going within and just allowing that peace and ease, and you just have to find the way that works for you.
Yeah, and it was
But-
right after everything you kept saying. It was just like the northern lights, and then that. I was like, again, like almost like someone was just walking by my eyelids. If you were to walk past the doorway, my
Yeah.
eyelids are right there. That's what it looked like, just like this.
My experience is when you're connecting with the other dimensions or realms, that's what
Yeah.
it's in the peripheral. You ever have where you're focused on something and you swear something just walk past on the
Yes.
side? Yeah. So we can see them in the peripheral, but when you go to focus on it, you can't, because we're in the 3D realm, and so they're at a different frequency.
Yeah.
But we are always surrounded and protected. If we knew how many were here with us, it would be like, okay, guys.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't know what's going on, because it would be difficult to function in this
Right.
realm if we could feel and sense and see all of the lovely beings that are helping us here. But what was important for me to learn is that we're not alone. So many of us for so long felt so alone, and even though we had people in our lives, we just felt alone and isolated, and we had issues going on, and we didn't know how to dig out of it, and we were just, and what they want us to know is that no, we've never been alone, we never will be. And we just need to start, once you understand that the help is right there, you just need a dialogue. We have what's called free will in this reality, meaning, well, I'll go back and say, you come in with at least one angelic. You can call it a guardian angel, a guide, or whatever you want to call it here. What are some of the terms you use for it?
I think that's right. Yeah. A guardian.
But you have at least one. Some have many or multiples, but you have at least one that stays with you for the majority, if not all of your existence here. And they're here just to serve, to help, to guide. But they can't do anything unless you ask. So they just have to stand there and watch you do all the silly stuff that you do.
I wanted to comment on
Yes.
something. I realized something last night about that. I just got some money from a Vanguard account. That money came from my grandma when my grandma died. And the psychic lady at the rock shop told me that, she owns it, she told me that my grandma is the one that's always around me.
Oh.
So my grandma sent me that money
Yeah.
right when I needed it. So that's cool.
There's angel. The help they can provide is amazing. But again, because we're in this dimension of what's called free will, they can't do anything unless we ask for it. They have to watch us do crazy, dangerous, stupid, unfortunate things. They can't intervene unless we go, I need help. And so and for many people, their guides and angels never get to do anything for them because they never ask.
Can we ask help from other angels for other people?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like my son.
Yeah. And you can also ask your team and his team to get together and help. And you just use, you can do anything you want. Ask, and yeah, you'll just get a feel for the language for you. No, we're just completely surrounded. But I had to learn, and it took a bit for me to do that because I was used to doing it myself. But they kept showing me pictures of me punching my fist through sheetrock. Like all my life, I've been trying to make my way through this world and bloody my knuckles doing it because I was strong-willed and I got to get this done. And they said, "Oh my gosh, silly you! This life is so much easier if you just stop that and ask for help." I don't know if you ever heard did you ever hear Mary and I talk about parking angels? Or
I think a few times, yeah.
that's one of the first things I learned years ago when I was listening to Abraham Hicks is if you're driving into a busy shopping area and you normally can't find a parking spot in Costco to save your life, but if you just, as you're pulling in, just start saying, thank you for the parking spot right up front. And if you just start driving around without any strong intention, somebody in the very front row will pull right out as soon as you pull up. And that's your angels. Or you'll get a nudge to go this aisle, not that one. And there's a space right there that you couldn't see from back where you were at. But your angels have a higher vantage point and they can see where the opening is at for you. But that's with everything in your life. But just I get in the car and I say, help me with clear, free traffic, help me with, protect me as I drive. Yeah. What kind of things do you ask or direct?
Oh, from the small to the big, I have no shame. I'll be like, I'm real tired today, I'm feeling lazy, please help me complete this, or find parking, or find this easily, or get this conversation done, or whatever it is, yeah. Because it's habit, right? So once you start the dialogue and you start asking for little things and then they start happening and you're like, oh, okay, I can ask for little bigger things. And I find that people are often like, it's easy for them to ask for parking, but it's hard for them to ask for healing or for money or things like that when you can ask for anything. Maybe it won't happen in your timeline. But it does happen, and sometimes I'm like, hey, you put me here, now you help me. Like, I need help. But we have to constantly ask, and we forget sometimes, and then Bonnie will be like, oh, we haven't been asking for help, and we're having some resistance, so let's ask for help. And
well, the other day, within 10 minutes,
Yeah.
she stood in the front lobby and said something with her hands in the air, and within just minutes, we had all this stuff coming in. It was like, ideas, solutions, all this epiphanies, and so it happens fast. Once you get in it's almost like learning a language, just once you get in that mode. And I did have a conversation one day where I just said, okay guys, I'm gonna quit making any human decisions. I'm just going to let you, because so far on a human level, I've made a lot of things really tough, and it's been hard, and so I'm just gonna, you've heard the term let go and let God. And I just, okay, I'm going to trust that this is what I need to do. And it's amazing. When I get out of the way, things go so much smoother. So
it's also interesting how the more you start to tune in that, you realize that rather than the idea we've been raised on of if you do something wrong, you'll be punished or you won't get rewarded. There's a lot of punishment in this planet and suffering. But when you work with your guides and your higher self and your team a lot, you realize that actually your higher self and your guides and your team and even Source desire for you to be happy and to feel joy and to feel love. They really want you to access that spectrum of awesomeness, all the things, gratitude. That's why people talk so much about gratitude, but that's just one part of the spectrum of love. There's so many excitement, laughter, so many ways that you can access it, and they really want you to feel that. So then you start to look at things like maybe you're having a tough time with family or work, but you start to think, okay, if you want me to have joy and love, then there must be something here that I'm missing. something I'm learning or letting go of, or that's holding me back from that love or that joy. Or maybe you're in a workspace to help somebody else for that time that you're there. It's when you open your awareness like that to be like, oh, there's so much more than me just being here for a paycheck or whatever it may be, that you realize things are being brought to you for a purpose, and it's always an opportunity for more joy and more love. And I kept hearing when we were meditating for the three of you with work, there's something connected with work between the three of you. Doing this meditation,
I'm a teacher.
she did,
I work for Percy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's our connection.
oh, interesting.
And I recognize you now that you sit here.
And it's cool that you said that because as far as the truck driving goes, I got into a car accident in 2021. And I have been having a hard time getting a truck driving job until that accident falls off my record. So when you said the job thing, I'm just like, no way.
Yeah, there's a sense that with all your jobs too, if you do something similar, doesn't need to be your variation of the meditation that Bonnie did before interacting with your work, before going to work, before learning, before interacting with your clients or your students, I think it's going to shift the way you're interacting with all of your jobs and give you more awareness as to why you're there in that moment and what you need to do. Like there's purpose for you in all of the work that you're all doing right now. And it's interesting that, like Bonnie said, a lot of us when we have a spiritual kind of tuning in or awakening, or we get in that space where we're like, gosh, I really want to help the world. I'm pretty sure I've been born here to help the world. That's a lot of people right now. They want to help make a change. And you think, okay, do I quit my job and become a Reiki healer, or what do I do?
A monk or
Yeah. But where the most help is needed is really in the regular day-to-day world. And so a lot of us who have that feeling are being sent out into these jobs at the right time, at just the right time, whether it's just to bring our energy there, our laughter, our gratitude, help somebody who's going through something you've been through, whatever it is, there's a purpose that you're in that place that you're in right now. And they really wanted you guys to all know that. And when you move on to your next place, wherever that may be, it'll be the same.
Always felt that though.
Yeah?
I'm here for a reason. Just got to figure out what it is.
Yes.
or they just told me, or not.
Yeah.
They say, or not, why do you have to know? just, for me, it was just trust that I'm here. I was told I don't need to know the reason. For me, they say silly humans. You have to label everything and you have to know exactly what everything is. So just trust that you'll be put where you need to be at the right time. We want to have answers to everything in this human realm. That's how we're programmed, or how I'm at least.
I really appreciate you saying that because not even 4 hours ago, I was just having a complete meltdown with my folks because I'm 30, still living at home because I can't afford anywhere to live right now.
Yeah.
And I want my timeline to be the one that is happening. But I keep forgetting it's not up to me of what happens. So when you say, this is what needs to be happening right now, I really appreciate that.
And you're there for them. And
Yeah.
you know it.
Yeah.
Your parents, I was supporting my parents, I was helping my parents out for a few years before this, so I get that.
Yeah.
For me, I find there does come a point in time where you go, oh, that's why that happened. You know, you'll start to see it a little bit later down the line.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's why that was. Okay, that makes sense now. Yeah. So it just, when I quit just trying to micromanage and demand answers and fuss about everything, it just became so much easier. And then I could just follow the flow you start to recognize that just miraculous things occur. And you couldn't have figured that one out. There's stuff that occurs that there's no way I could have humanly figured. I couldn't have gotten myself from here to there and manifested or manufactured that from my human brain. It just is beyond. They kept telling me that I was going to be doing something far larger and bigger than what I could imagine. And now I know what it was. I didn't think about this building in the center like this. This is not something that was in my human, but came together magically and very quickly, and just and at in a way that I believe we recognized at some point that's what was happening, but it was like, whoa, it was fast. But
Yeah, there were some moments felt being chess pieces just placed. Here, you got to meet Bonnie, and Bonnie, you got to meet Sasha, and then here
Yeah,
you go,
it
you're
was
going
like,
to do this, and then
oh my
and then
gosh.
these other people are going to come in, and so it's exciting to think about what's next. And I love being in that. That's the inspiration and the creative feeling that you get into in spirit, inspired of, oh, what's going to happen next? Because that was really cool. All those synchronicities that happen, or beginning to hear the buzzing, or people talking, and then really becoming aware of it and saying, okay, what is that? And what's coming through? And what does that mean? And just becoming more conscious of how it's all the puzzle pieces are fitting together. It's amazing.
It makes every day exciting.
Yeah. Even when it's hard. Yeah.
It allows you, because it isn't going to be just a smooth ride. We're here as humans, and we're here to experience all things possible and all emotions. Are you guys aware that we chose to come here? That we had a plan of what we wanted to accomplish, and we picked our parents, and when I first heard that, I went, hell no. I did not organize this. And the person coaching me kept saying, oh, yes, you did. I was in denial for a while. But now I completely understand. So we picked what I found is the more times we've been here, the more rounds we've gone. It's like anything else. If you're fluent at something, you want a little more of a challenge, a little more of a challenge, a little more of a challenge here. And so we just keep picking harder and harder journeys because we learn from that. That's how we learn, and that's how we grow, and that's what we bring back to the one, the source. And so we're here I was shown that it's collecting intel. We're down here collecting information, intel, knowledge that will help evolve and enhance the one, the all. Some of us have picked some real good challenges, but we planned this out. And so I know for me, and the name of the game is, while you're in a human incarnation, to figure out who you really are, why you're really here, and what your purpose really is. And that's it. That's the goal, that and other things, but our primary goal is to figure this out before we exit again. Because if we don't figure it out, then we're just right back in the...
Could be.
We could, back in the cycle. And in my QHHT session with Sasha, it was explained that I've had many incarnations, and I've wanted to accomplish this in all of them up to this point, but did not. And so I put things into place in this lifetime to make sure that I would finally awaken and understand all of this. And they said for decades we've been thumping you, and I wasn't paying attention. I'd have little moments of starting to connect and then just go back to everyday stuff. And so they said, so after thumping for quite some time, then we got the 2x4s out and we started. And then they really pulled, but I put these in place. So I put massive things in place. And then, not to bring it down, but I put the death of my son in place so that it was like the final blow. And it was that day that I went, and I'm very, as hard as that was, I'm also very grateful because we're all in this together. So he was part of this too. Does that make sense? So it was a plan that was co-created, as tough as that is. But we, again, we're here to learn. And so what I found is that once I understood that, everything just started to, I don't know how to explain it, unfold and flow. And so it just became really, it helped me so much to be able to, if you want to call it, weather these, what felt like severe ups and downs. They kept showing me a roller coaster. And you're up and then whoop, back down again. And it can be tough to handle those. But once you understand what this is, it tends to lessen in severity. Does that make sense? And it's not that they go away, you don't flatline, but there is a point where it's much more manageable and you understand what's going on. And so you're not as frightened or fearful of the extremes, if that makes sense here for you. So am I explaining this well enough or right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think what's happening a lot with people as we're remembering more of our soul and who we are in a greater picture is we're realizing that this world has created all these definitions of what it means to lose a person or to pass on or to be an alcoholic or to be in just different situations. They're good, they're bad, they're black, they're white. This is what it means. Usually it means something bad if you're not following in line with society. And truly, when you tune into the soul, you start to see the bigger picture of things, how everything's connected, how all these things happen that seem really bad, but there's always this underlying beauty when you tune into the bigger picture or the story. For example, there's some people that have come in here with certain parents who were not the best parents, and what they realize when they access the records of their soul is that they actually came in to help that parent learn more of love, to help that soul learn something different than what they had been previously experiencing. And they knew that it would be hard. Or that parent who had these issues they called it like a mentor to them, to see these different aspects of personality so that as they grew older, there were other people or other instances that would happen in their life that they would need to have that experience or that information. I've never had a session where somebody just said, wow, my parent was a real a-hole and just because, or that bad traumatic thing happened just because. There's always a purpose, and not saying bad things happen for a purpose. I think we're beginning to see that we can rise above that, and that's our next evolution, is going beyond these bad things and moving into a space where we're more whole and loving and accepting and able to understand why certain things happen. So it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful, yeah.
When you tap in, when you connect with that, you can call it source, God, that it's just, it's a love that normally is not, I don't know that it's ever experienced on a human level. It's a love beyond. I've had three babies, and it's a love that is inexplainable. It's at a level that we normally don't ever get to experience on a human emotional level. It's beyond, and it's just like you've plugged into something that is just overwhelming and breathtaking and startling and stunning, and when you're plugged into that, there is no bad. There's no shame, there's no guilt, there's no right or wrong, there's no judgment at all. And there is just peace and love and beauty.
We were actually briefly talking about this today of having, if you've ever had an out-of-body experience, I think you said you have, right?
Yeah.
And how freeing it feels and how much you realize the physical body itself is wired into this collective suffering. And so we feel so much, but then you get out of the body and you're like, whoa, oh, what was I worried about? What's the problem? I remember going out of body and going, oh, I'm cool, I'll go back. Yeah, no big deal. That's really how I felt. Like, suffering, no big deal. And then you get back in the body and you go, oh my gosh, wow. Wait a minute. Yeah.
I don't fit in here.
There's that other one we're doing.
But I think that is, like Bonnie's talking about, it's a piece of that. We're merging closer into that source energy that is just peaceful and joyful and free. And that's what we're trying to create here. And it may take generations, it may happen in this life. It's really up to us to make that happen. And there's a lot of people here trying to make that happen. A lot of people are being born right now to make that happen. And I know it's getting on time.
We started about 20 after. Are you okay? Are you wanting to wrap up, or are you okay for
I
a
know,
few more
I'm
minutes,
okay.
or-
I just want to be mindful of everyone's
Yeah,
time.
I'm good.
You guys okay?
I didn't know what the end time was.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It's
okay.
about 10 after 8, but
There's an end time?
that, yeah.
Next time we'll get
so
snacks and
Yeah.
we'll get pillows and we'll
You know,
just
it-
like hang out.
Yeah.
we're, a lot of people, as they start to have what's commonly called a spiritual awakening. Start to have these awarenesses, epiphanies, downloads, images, dreams, whatever it is. It's a combination of things, ringing in the ears, whatever's happening to them. And they don't have a reference for it, number one. And for me, I'll just tell my story real quickly here. Didn't know anybody else in my reality that I knew of that was doing this. And so you feel, your first thought is, going crazy. Don't know what's happening here. So I did have the wherewithal to, I said some prayers and said, please help me understand what this is, or shut it off, or don't let me go down that rabbit hole, or whatever. And I had some family members that had some memory issues at the end of their time inside. I was like, oh no. But as soon as I started just questioning what was going on, I started being guided to books and things that I'd never thought of before. And I found myself back when we used to go to Barnes & Noble, there was a spiritual section over on that side of the store that hardly anybody was ever, nobody was ever in there, or if there was, it was somebody with dreadlocks and somebody that was anyway, so I found myself being pulled to that, but I was embarrassed to go in there. Yeah. I think it's silly now, but I'd look around, make sure nobody was looking, and then I'd slither over and act like I wasn't looking in the shelves, and there wasn't much over there at the time. But I found myself just bit by bit, something would call to me, and I'd take it home, and I'd even feel guilty reading it, or naughty reading it. But stuff just started to come in, but I'd read it, and I'd go, oh, something about it felt like truth. There was just a inner knowing. So it was a real slow process for me, but it was years and years of feeling lonely in this. And I don't know if yours was similar to that, but I know I'll let Sasha share hers, but when we first started thinking about this, I thought our mission is to have a port, to have a lighthouse, hence the Voices of Light, but have a lighthouse, a port where people that are starting, it doesn't matter where you're at in this, whether you're brand new, just have things, or just now suddenly occurring, or barely have your toe in the pool of awareness, or we're here for everybody. It doesn't matter how advanced you are, how far along you are on your journey. It's a place for everyone to gather, and with like-minded, again, people of similar understanding, and with lots of questions, and it's a community so that we can come together and go, we're not alone. And there is someone or others here for you that will help you if you want to further understand what's happening. And so we are so grateful to have this opportunity. After my husband passed, I was being nudged to close things down here, but something wouldn't let me notify the landlord that I was done with the building. And it was that one drove me nuts for a year and a half, 2 years almost, because I was like, why can't I let go of this? What's wrong with me? Why can't I let go of this building? What emotional thing is stuck in there that won't let me do that? And now I know what it was. It was just,
What is so fascinating too, I love having you here because in QHHT sessions and even just being out and when you get to talking to people about this kind of stuff, I realize how many kind of master souls are here. So many, just living.
So what's a master soul?
Meaning a soul that is living already in a frequency outside of the physical that is loving. So to me, source frequency, like Bonnie said, it's just pure love, right? And so then you come down into the physical where there's more suffering, and then your soul learns and grows, moving back into that final place of back into full love and source. That's how my mind sees it. So a master being comes in, this is a soul that's been around a long time, sometimes even before this planet was created, and has wisdom and love and is here to bring that frequency just in their being and share wisdom, but they don't yet know it because just like everyone else, they're born here, they forget, and then they start remembering. And it's just so amazing. So you never know in interacting with somebody. It could literally be a janitor. It could be job has nothing to do with it. Financial status has nothing to do with it. Even somebody might say, I don't know much about this stuff. And then you put them under hypnosis and they're like, these beautiful, wise souls who came here to share love, and they had no idea about that.
Profound
right?
stuff coming through.
So the starting the process to remember, you don't need QHHT or hypnosis. Bonnie said it's literally more intention. The more you start to listen, the more you become aware, the more you start to ask, because you will get answers. Whether it's, I was the same. I was receiving messages, but I didn't have any spiritual background or anything, so I was guided to a lot of books and then start watching shows and receiving information and trying to sift through what felt right to me and what path could I take to figure out why these things are happening. And even if you're not having those kinds of experiences, if you really start to reflect on your life, you'll notice synchronicities or experiences out of body you've had, or even just dreams that were very interesting, or there's always things happening to prompt us to begin that path, to remember and to open and that's all awakening is. People make spiritual awakening sometimes sound like it's the I don't know.
Some angel comes down and gets right in front of your face and anoints you.
And it's really just a remember. It's a becoming more conscious of the things that are already happening to you. They're already happening to you. We're just so taught to go to life, go to work, deal with these stress, talk about politics, talk about religion, talk about sports or whatever. Nothing wrong with that. But distracted,
Preoccupied and distracted in the human realm of all the little busy stuff.
Can you help me understand something? I'm cleaning out old pictures and things that were the kids when they were in school. And I found a letter that I wrote to Sylvia Brown.
Oh.
And I wrote all the experiences. I didn't write them all. I wrote some experiences that I wanted her to understand and help me understand.
Yeah.
And about 5-6 years ago, I would fall asleep and I would wake up in the middle of the night and there was somebody standing there. And every time it was somebody different. It was a pilgrim one time. It was a samurai guy
Warrior.
one time. It was a baker. I'm trying to think. I had about 10 different people show up like that. And it scared me at first. I closed my eyes back, and then I'm like, and it happened over about a 6-month time frame. I always saw somebody different. Who were those people to me? Or were they me in another life?
I would like to ask you, what did you feel they were? Like, what is
At first they scared me because I didn't know what to expect. And then I think I said, so what am I supposed to understand from you? And I just never got anything. I usually fell back asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what was
They didn't scare me. I didn't have a lot of peace with them. I had more questions than I had anything else.
Yeah. Do you want to go or you want me to go?
I know what I'm getting, but past existences, past life, yeah.
That's what I thought. So was that me or was that just somebody in my life?
It's parts of your soul.
Okay.
Yeah, the first thing I heard was time traveling. You already have the...
Oh, I think I've time traveled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have the ability when you sleep to... We all can come and go from our body. It seems like you have more of a conscious awareness sometimes of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like in that moment, you were time traveling. It just seemed like people were
In your room?
in your room.
Yeah.
Have you heard astral traveling? Have you heard of
I've
that?
heard of that, yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting because if you explored it, you could probably know more about any of those lives or move through time, move in the past, move into the future. Time is really fun, I think, to explore in that way. And
But
if you
I don't know if I dreamt this, I think I felt it, that I was in Japan, in old-time Japan, bamboo houses, and there was a tornado that was coming, and I was the man, and I was running to get my family, and my wife was my cousin, currently my cousin. And I've never told her that because I don't think she'd be open to understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's, yeah.
You are very tuned in. You've been, oh my gosh, here, this is,
But it's only, I don't feel like I have control of it.
It's like a muscle. The more you practice, I guess you could say, the more you tune in, it becomes a lot easier. I think of it like Bonnie was talking about how she knows when there's different frequencies coming in because you get the ringing or the feeling in your body, and that can be a little different for everybody. So you start to build this sort of library of, ooh, this is happening. What do I need to do? Is it a message? Is it this person? Do I need to go over there? You'll really start to feel yourself. So even
So
with
the migraines have such weird feelings at different times. Is that somebody trying to come in?
what
Not so
did,
much a headache,
what was
but
discussed when what was the answer that was given when you came to the open house about your
Be
migraines?
more grounded.
Oh, okay.
yeah, that she sometimes it's very open for her to
Oh,
leave
she was
her
leaving
body.
through a hole in the back of her head, okay.
And because it's so very open, you could be even coming and going unconsciously and moving around and picking up information and then not fully reintegrating or bringing back in things that aren't yours, or I'm not talking about like entities or things, but just
No, but I
energy. Yeah, so it sounds like what you're being prompted to do is to use that awareness and then trying different things like Bonnie's meditation, or even just willing yourself to pull back in and then releasing anything that's not your you have to try different things, because physical issues are usually prompting something. Yes, it can be blocked energy, but that's not the only thing that it can be. And a lot of times with anxiety or migraines, this is just my observation, is that it can be more psychic or spiritual or something like that happening.
The
But
first time I had a migraine, I also traveled that night.
Okay. There is something that I was taught to do, because I was told early on that I was a massive astral traveler. I had no idea what that was, but I had somebody that got in front of me that was tuned in she actually scared me, but she goes, oh, you're just a massive astral traveler. I go, what the heck is that? And she goes, the minute you shut your eyes, you're out of this galaxy, you're gone. But I've always had this issue from as far back as I can remember as a child here. It didn't matter how many hours I slept, 10, 12 hours, I woke up exhausted. And my body I felt like a brick, and I didn't want to get up, and it was just, and I'm a busybody at night. But I was also taught that a common thing is when people that don't know what's going on, just let it happen, you will leave the body the wrong way. So especially if the body, if you're leaving the body, if you're laying on your back, for example, and you're leaving the body straight out of the torso, very difficult on you. So if you're coming out the back of your head, again, complications with that. So what I was taught to do is part of my routine before I go to sleep. There's some things that I direct that I'm going to have. I literally, I can say it for you if you want, but tonight I'm going to have an incredible, restful, healing, peaceful sleep. I'm going to awaken feeling completely refreshed and restored.
And still travel?
I'm going to wake up completely refreshed, restored. I'm going to wake up feeling like I've had a good 8 or 9 hours of just wonderful sleep. I'm going to wake up healthy and strong, and I'm going to be alert and refreshed. And also tonight, if I choose to astral travel, I'm going to exit only through my crown. And when I leave, I'm going to have 2 angel guard guides with me, and they're going to flank me, and they're going to travel with me, protecting me and keeping me safe throughout my travels. And then when I'm finished, they will return back with me, and I will re-enter or reintegrate through my crown, and then have a wonderful day. So before I go to sleep, I'm directing what's going to happen that night. And when I do that, because I don't do it 100% of the time, but I feel much better in the morning. And I'm not just wiped. And I don't have that dense, heavy, thick feeling when I wake up. If you want, I can write that out for you if that helps you.
I'll remember that.
Yeah, and it can be whatever words, I play around with it and say different things. But
That sounds like Marissa Peer, the rapid transformational therapist. Do you know about her?
no.
Oh, you'd really like her.
Yeah, I would have to look it up. I'm always looking for more input and
check her out.
information.
She's
Okay,
British,
oh,
and
wonderful.
she's, yeah, really smart.
We just have to learn we are the creator of our own reality. We've just not known that. And so you're always creating, but most of the time you don't realize that you have that ability, so you're just creating out of default. So, does that make sense? So if you don't direct your creations, you are creating, but it's not necessarily what you want.
Yeah.
When you talk about meditate, I feel that's when I'm sewing, when I'm crocheting.
Oh,
I feel that's where I get my energy.
there's so many. Whenever you tune in, just go within and just, when you drop the outer world and just go, it could be anything. It could be reading. It could be anything that you just sink into. Something you love, something that's fulfilling you, something that's, it doesn't have to be a huge practice where you sit and in a certain position and have your mantra or your om or whatever you do. Those work, but you find what, I do a variety of things, but even if I arrive here and I'm feeling a little maybe anxiety or tense, or I just fought my way through traffic to get here, I will just sit in the car for 5 minutes and just close my eyes and just feel the warmth of the sun outside and just go with it, just sink in. The more you do this, the faster you can do it. And you just sink in. So it can be a minute here, 5 minutes there, it can
It's
be,
usually from 2 to 5 o'clock in the morning is when I'm up.
oh, okay.
5 in the morning.
They wake you up.
But I can't sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Have you ever, those 3 o'clock in particular in the morning is when your brain is in a certain state. It's when it's easiest for the higher self or source to get information to you during that time frame. So a lot of people, including me, will get awoken out of a sound sleep. And I've learned to keep a pad and pen beside the bed on the nightstand. And if they won't let me go back to sleep, then I will pull the pad and pen and go, okay, what do you want me to know? And then I start, it's called automatic writing, and that's something that we're going to be teaching here too. But if you want to, anyone can do it. But you just start, all of a sudden you have stuff that just starts flowing through and you're just writing out whatever you're perceiving.
Automatic sewing.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you, but yeah.
Sow the message
Yeah.
into your
They want to tell me something, and so they wake me up. Or they'll wake me up and then they'll play it in my mind's eye. I personally don't retain it unless I'll even grab my phone, because I'll have profound stuff come through, and I'll think, oh, there's no way I'm going to forget this. And then the next morning, I have vague memory that something profound came through, and maybe a hint of the subject matter, but none of the details retained for me. So I'll grab my phone even and just do a voice record in my gruff, sleepy voice of what I just had dump in. Or if I'm willing, I'll get up. And sometimes they make me grab the pad. They won't leave me alone until I do it, because it's something they really need me to understand. But just food for thought. Because once I started following the lead and taking the information down, then it was less, they did it less. They woke me up more when I wasn't taking notation until I finally got it. And then they let me have more rest after that. But yeah, but you
I'm
have.
sorry to take out the time.
No, this is
You
wonderful.
actually don't. It's good for everyone, and I can feel like the energy between the three of you. It's really interesting. There's similarities there that we probably aren't even aware of yet. But
When you're prompted to ask a question in a group setting, it's because it's not just for you. What you're asking is something that the collective needs to understand.
I know why I'm where I'm at right now at work. I told somebody about the St. Jude's Dream Home,
yeah,
which I won a car from before.
Oh, wow.
He went and bought it. He bought a ticket within 5 minutes of me telling him about it. He's supposed to win the house.
wow,
You
I
gotta
know he is.
keep us posted.
yeah.
June 4th or June 2nd.
What's his name?
Ray, I don't.
Someone
I
named
see
Ray?
his last name, but I don't
Okay.
remember what it is. He's supposed to win it,
Wow.
That would be awesome.
even though
Yeah.
I bought a ticket.
That's cool.
That is cool. Yeah, keep us posted on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the magic of what happens here. You just start seeing all this stuff, and I know you've been dabbing your eyes there. What's
Yeah.
happening for you? You just have oozing going on?
Yeah.
Is that normal for you, or is it something new?
No. No.
Okay. The reason I ask is that when I first started to awaken, people would present themselves and they start sharing something that was totally foreign to me or
Yeah.
just new. And I'd never had this issue. All of a sudden, I'd be talking to somebody, I'd be interested in what they had to say, but it was all new stuff. And it was like all of a sudden, I just started oozing at the sides of my eyes. And I'd be real embarrassed, and I go, it's allergies, I'm sorry, but I would find it was like waterworks would turn on. I wasn't crying, I wasn't emotional, but I would just all of a sudden just have, we're talking fountains coming down my cheeks.
Yeah.
And this went on for a while, but it would happen when I was being presented with profound information that was life evolving and important. It was a way that they got my attention. Stay in this conversation, listen to what they're sharing here. This is important for you. And so I did the exact same thing, and I still occasionally do it. I did it recently in here, I think, in front of
don't
you.
remember.
I'll just start to ooze. And so I've learned to be more discreet about it, but it'll just start. It was mostly the
say
left.
allergies,
Yeah.
but I know it's not.
Well, and I don't know why I was embarrassed before, but I was. But I would, whenever I got in front of somebody important or information that was important for me along this journey, it was like waterworks. And that's just, for me, it was a way they got my attention. They wanted me to know that this was important stuff. And so, welcome to the team.
Yeah. There was also, this was a little ways back, I kept hearing, and Bonnie mentioned something about this, but just a reminder that we all have free will too. And this goes with spiritual and energetic stuff. So meaning, if you are tuning into energies that you know aren't yourself, or if you feel like ungrounded, or you feel like it's not a good time for you to be doing spiritual work because you're trying to focus on something else, it's okay for you to exert your free will and say, hey, now's not a good time, and I want to be fully in my body, and I want to be able to focus on this work. It's okay to exert your free will, and that's what Bonnie was saying with the visualization. I can't remember what it was now, but it is when you are visualizing being in your body, or you're visualizing protection, or whatever, you're exerting free will, and that's part of co-creation, is our free will. I would like to experience this right now. I would like to experience this in a year or in 10 years. And you just keep using that free will. A lot of people use it in a very distorted or negative way. And so as good-hearted people, sometimes it can feel like, I don't want to be selfish, or I don't want to be abrasive, or not knowing that we can even use it for energy or spiritual things. So it was just very loud of just a reminder for everyone that free will in our life is really important, and using that to create how we want to feel, how we want to experience. If you have a migraine, you could tune in to, where am I feeling ungrounded, or what is this somebody, and just exert that free will. Whatever is happening, I don't need that right now. I need to focus, or tell me what it is that I need to know right now so I can move on with my day. Sometimes it's a feeling of we're less than our higher self, or we're less than source, or we're less than ascended masters or angels, and we're not. We're absolutely not. We're brothers and sisters, and we're in this thing together.
It's like when I pray, I feel guilty if I ask for things all the time. I'm grateful, so I don't want to ask for things with your spirit guide. I don't want to ask for that because that seems ungrateful.
You can thank.
Yeah, and I always thank, and I'm always grateful.
Thank them for the future of it.
Okay, that's an idea.
That way you don't feel needy.
Yeah, yeah.
I know for a lot of us, we're taught that it's selfish to think a certain way.
Right.
We're also taught that there's lack in this world, or this reality, that if somebody has more, then somebody has to have less.
There must be an imbalance.
There's no such thing. There is no reason for anyone to be without at all. If they are, it was created. Does that make sense? Yeah. And it can be created as a collective, it can be created individually, but there is no reason for
Or is it
Yeah.
that's what they ask for that lifetime?
that. Yes, that could be their experience that they chose to go through for whatever lessons they're learning. Yes, here. But there is no such thing as guilt or shame, and there's no lack. Lack is a human construct. And yeah, very low vibration. And so it's a creation. And it's also programmed into us. Who's ever heard the term, money doesn't grow on trees? And rich people are not nice people. Yeah, we just have a lot of programming. And that can affect how we feel about asking for things. And I battled with that when I was first learning all this. It was like, you felt naughty going out there. But once you, yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, like, your sense of worth is super important. Like, you're important, you're valuable.
Right, yeah,
All
that's
that.
never been an issue for me. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I grew up with perfect parents. Now, when I hear about everybody else, I didn't have any trauma or anything like that, so that wasn't an issue. That's never been an issue.
That's good.
So what about spirit animals? How did they help you? Because in that letter to Sylvia Brown, I said, I think my spirit animal is a large cat. Because I had said something one day and I said, I want to get up early. And I told that to my husband and I couldn't get up the next day and I felt an animal lay against me. And I said, I can't get up if you don't move. And I felt it jump off the bed.
That's cool.
That is so.
Yeah, and
That is
it
cool.
laid the
Oh,
whole weight
wow.
of my body. But what did they do for you? How can they help you?
That's a connection you have to foster because, yeah, I have met people that have really connected with their spirit animal or their non-physical animal, and sometimes those beings can help you, meaning
And
help
I'm
you.
sitting here shaking as you're talking.
Oh,
Wow. They can, because your souls work in concert. So they're more conscious than like a cat here in the physical realm, and they carry frequencies themselves. So the cat can help you do healing work. I would even it's experiencing and tuning into what feels right when you ask your cat for something or ask for a name that you can call your spirit animals to develop that connection. And when that relationship grows, it almost always helps with just so many, just like a guide. It's just a different type of vibration or frequency. And that doesn't mean it's any lower or any less. In fact, they can be really magical or beautiful. They can also trigger memories or remembrances of other lives in other forms or other planets, or it's really vast what that can create. And I feel like that is something, rather than me tell you, it's something that is desired for you to build and learn. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Isn't your spirit animal like your higher self?
Not always. No, I guess in a sense we're all everything. If you want to look at it like that. But
it's connected, but yeah, there's a connection, but not necessarily, she said. So it's
not all non-physical beings are human. And just because a non-physical being takes the form of an animal doesn't necessarily mean it's less than, like we look at animals here. You know what I mean? So they can have just as much wisdom. They can have healing abilities. Some people work with their spirit animals to help others heal. They can bring in wisdom. They can help with manifesting. They can help with triggering memories. They can help access your non-physical team on other planets. I don't know if you've ever explored that, but
when you travel to ancient sites, for example, Egypt, the hieroglyph depictions on the temple walls, they have a lot of depictions of animal beings. They're part human, part animal, and there are many different races throughout the universes that take on, obviously humans are unique to this planetary system. Other races look completely different. There are feline races. I'm getting a little south here, but so you could be connected with that in some way.
That's the only time I ever experienced it was when I needed to get out of bed early.
Yeah. How did that feel to have that?
I felt warmth.
You felt a loving presence?
It felt like a body was laying next to me. And it was on the side of the bed that I needed to get up. And I said to it, I can't get up if you're laying there. And I felt it jump off
Oh,
the bed.
I'm glad it cooperated and let you get up. This is fascinating here to me that you've been tuning in. Was that quite some time ago, or?
It was after we got back from Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And that was 2002 or something like that. Yeah.
It's amazing what you have access to. If you want it, it'll just continue to evolve and develop. And you have the ability to say, I've gone far enough, and this, like you said, free will. So or you can slow things down if it's coming too fast. For a little bit, it was coming too fast for me, and I was like, whoa, Nellie. So I literally was taught to ask to just slow things down, come at a slower pace so I can get accustomed to it. But
My dad was a Edgar Casey fan,
Oh.
so he put a lot of this information in front of me as a teen.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, we talked about it. My mom would go off to church and he didn't. And I wouldn't go to church and we'd sit there and talk about it. He goes, this is our religion.
Oh, that was beautiful. I found that, I've gotten more answers out of this avenue than I did. I'm not knocking religion by any means, but I've gotten more answers that feel truthful to me out of this lane than I have elsewhere. Things just never made sense in the other lane. there was too many unknowns and questions and things that didn't fit together. And a lot of non-love going on, even though they claim that they were of love. I just witnessed so much stuff over the years that can't be. God can't be judging like that. And so when I connected with this, it just felt like truth. That's for me. It also felt like home, or like just I knew it somehow. It just felt so right and so real. And there was just no going back for me once I connected to it. And I'm so grateful that I did follow that nudge. But there's so many avenues. If any of you want some ideas for books, or I joke with people that I've been through YouTube University the last 8 years, and I've got, if not a PhD, I at least have a master's from YouTube University. There's so much. Once you start, the algorithms once you start watching a certain theme, then it just comes at you left and right. And they keep offering things. It started with me watching a public television program and listening to a gentleman, and then I ordered his books and tapes, and then he mentioned somebody else in his literature, and then it was like I was sucked down that lane for a while, and then it just kept going. Marie's shaking her head going, I've been there. But it's just fascinating. I've never been so pulled to anything like that in my life. I hated history when I was in school. I couldn't stand to read the stuff, and now I can't suck it in fast enough. And it's just, I'm just fascinated by it, but especially the ancient stuff, ancient civilizations here. What? Oh, you're agreeing? Okay. Yes, here. And it surprised me when it started coming in, because my husband, when he'd walk into the living room going, why are you watching the History Channel? And I go, I don't know. But they started showing ancient civilizations on the History Channel, and that's what drew me in. But it's just so beautiful. There was somewhere they wanted me to go, and I don't know why. It went sideways.
I find when I get drawn to another television, information, I almost feel that I've been there, and I'm just watching a real that time frame that I already knew about.
Because you're a time traveler.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's what, especially Hitler days really bother me, but I also...
You're tuned into it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you understand what QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis is, or have we talked about it?
I've heard you guys talk
Okay.
about it, and Denise.
Okay, because they're nudging at me to let you know that this would answer a lot of your questions.
Okay.
So just to clarify real quickly, help me out here, but what happens is QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique is what it is. A facilitator, trained facilitator, guides the individual. First, it's a 4+ hour session. The first hour and a half to 2 hours are the facilitator and the client talking. We get the client's history, stories from their life, things that they feel are important. The client will just start volunteering. Once they come in, the floodgates open. But we also have the client come with a list of questions they'd like answers to. And both personal questions, things going on in their life or things that have happened in their life that they would like answers to, and then also health-related things. So anything that they'd like to have corrected along the lines of the body, physical or mental or emotional.
And I
health.
don't know, I've thought about this. I don't know what questions where to guide, where to go. The biggest questions I have is I had COVID really bad when it first started. I was in the hospital for 5 days on oxygen
Yeah.
for 17 weeks.
Oh my
And
gosh.
since then, my body has changed, and not for the good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
That's
that's
all
a
I-
wonderful thing to ask about and to get, see, because and here's what I did when I first, as soon as I booked with Sasha, I was training to do this, and I knew that I needed to have a session before I could do it for somebody else, and so I was guided to have a session. I went looking down their list of practitioners in this local area, and I was directed to her. And from the minute I booked that appointment, I was guided to get a pad and pen out, and I literally, it was like 11:30 at night. I wrote the header, questions for hypnosis session, and my intention was to write down questions, but I was late and I was tired, and I thought, okay, I'll just leave it, I'll do it tomorrow. So I left the pad there, and the minute I woke up, that crack, when you first become aware, that dump mode where I just had the questions started dumping in. Lay a pad and pen out, write the header, questions for hypnosis session, and you will be given questions.
I don't know how to spell hypnosis.
Google it. But I literally, for about 4 days, I left the pad in the kitchen, and I would be in the bathroom doing something routine. Boom, another question. Run out there, I'd write it down. Most of my questions were not even questions I would have thought to ask, but they were being dumped. You certainly can think of your own questions, but your higher self will help you with questions. Your higher self, the person's higher self knows they're coming into the session. The person's higher self has guided them to come have the session. Your higher self wants to talk to you. You just aren't quite tuned into it, or you're not receiving it the way you could. So the purpose for QHHT is to get you acquainted with that higher self, connected into it. Once after we've spoken, we'll take a break, and then we have you on a wonderful table, a bed or a lovely or reclining chair, and you are guided into a very deep hypnotic state, and then are you okay?
No, it's,
You having something going on?
yeah, I don't know what.
You have a headache?
What do you feel?
I don't know. It's a pain, but it's like right there.
Okay.
Only on this side. It's just, I haven't had this one before.
You need some
Just
more water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank has told me since when I went back to work for a purpose, he's do whatever you want with that money. And I was thinking today, if I could direct the money here, because it might give me more answers about what I want to do.
Yeah, that's what this.
So I've already thought about that.
For me, when I started opening up, I came back from Egypt, and they just really ripped the lid off. But I came back from Egypt 2 days after I got back from Egypt. I had massive things going on in the cranial area. I would feel like brain was being split in half and pulled apart. I would feel pressure. I would feel vice grip types. It was like you had me in a vice grip squeezing. One time I was in a car driving to friends for dinner, and I'm on the freeway, and I'm going, I'm having a stroke. I only had to say a prayer, please don't let me die on the freeway. But what it was for me is I started channeling. That was my intro to channeling. And I had one of my fellow travelers to Egypt that I'd made friends with on that trip. Her deceased husband started coming through. But it started with me feeling like my brain was exploding, or my brain was being pushed, squeezed, and that's where it was information. It's a different frequency. So it will ease. Once you start receiving what's trying to come through, then it will ease. Does that make sense?
I have pain like that frequently.
Okay, so you've got stuff trying to come through which hasn't been allowed to fully do, and so it can be very uncomfortable. You aren't in harm's way, it's nothing, it's just, it's a frequency.
You feel like you're having a stroke.
I know. Oh, believe me, I've been, oh my God, here. I had this guy in my awareness for 2 weeks until I got the message through to his wife that he wanted through. He was persistent, yeah. I didn't know about, I wasn't practicing free will, but I was just like, oh my, I didn't know how to shut him off at first. But I'm not saying that you can have somebody channel through you, but there's information trying to come through. So as we're talking about QHHT, your higher self, whatever's trying to come through, wants you. To me, this is a sign that, yeah, you're ready for this here. There's a lot that wants to come through. And not only is it information, we don't direct you. It can involve past life regression. We don't direct you where to go. We simply direct your higher self to take you to the lifetimes or experience that you need to go to get the answers you've come here for. So we just get to play facilitator and basically detective to find out where you landed. But you will, through you, your higher self will come through your voice box and will describe where you're
Do
at.
it all in one session?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, all in one. And you will describe where you're at. We'll ask questions. Your higher self will explain. You may be fully aware, or you may not, or you may be partially aware. We don't know till it's over, but you will have an experience or a lifetime that you will go through because there's answers in that. It correlates somehow to this lifetime. So we'll find that out, but we also will go not only through all of your questions and get the answers for those, but we order a full body scan from tip to toe, I call it. And for me, it felt like a gentle laser beam going through. It was warm and I could see red, orange, yellow colors. But it went through and we direct that the body scans stop wherever there's something going on that needs some assistance or help, and also that it tells us where it stopped at and what's going on. And then we also direct that there be, again, full healing and recovery at that time. So it's amazing what the higher self will do when just guided or directed, because it has your best interest in mind. You won't receive anything or go anywhere or do anything that isn't for you. So they will not allow anything to happen. They do occasionally say they will not answer a question because you're not ready for it. So they are protecting you. Your higher self's very protective. So it's safe, but everyone gets up from that experience going, whoa.
I've done past life before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was just a hypnosis.
Yeah.
Community ed class.
Yeah.
And I got what I needed out
Oh,
of it.
good. Here, this is a whole nother level. I can tell you
Yeah,
that.
this
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else would you like to add to that here that would make more?
No, I think that's
Okay.
it, yeah.
So
My head feels like it's lifting.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
physically feels like it's lifting up, like a little cap.
Oh, so it's open the lid, so it's ready. Oh, okay, you're in the receiving. What's it telling you?
Girl, you gotta start walking around with a pen and paper
I know.
because that
Yeah.
stuff is ready,
I
is
keep a
trying to
note
come in. Yeah.
since I retired, I keep a notebook
Yeah.
of things I want to do and remember and, yeah. So I've got a notebook, I'm ready.
Come to the station. We're doing a session on how to automatic write and how to tune in and how to channel for yourself, and come take that because I'll have to look at the schedule.
I don't remember.
But I'll make sure, yeah, sure. But anyone can do it. But you just write questions down and then just go into a meditative state and just put down the first thing that comes to mind. You're already a natural at it. It's just a matter of learning to trust that, because most people have been doing this all their life, but what do? They go, oh, I'm just making that up, or that's not real, or they just push it off, or they ignore it, or You've been getting guidance. You all have your entire existence. You just didn't recognize it and didn't believe it, and were told. Little children are told that there's no such thing as the imaginary friend, and that those things they're seeing aren't real, and to shut it off and don't embarrass the family and don't talk about that.
There's a new movie out, if Imaginary Friend.
Oh.
It opens this weekend. It's about a big purple animal.
Oh,
I was gonna take my granddaughter to
Oh.
it. Yeah.
All babies are born with the ability to tune into those other frequencies and dimensions. My daughter as an infant, my two boys would wake up from their nap and cry and want you to come get them out of the bed, whatever. My daughter would wake up, and I got so much done with her, because she would lay there for an hour to 2 hours, and if you peeked in to look at her, she was just playing with the air. So something entertained her for upwards of 2 hours. And we didn't have a mobile above her crib either, so it wasn't anything she was looking. There was nothing but just the ceiling. But she talked and cooed and played with something in her room for 2 hours. So all infants and little kids that talk to themselves or tell themselves stories, or they're able to sense those other realms and other beings that are there. We don't encourage it, and they're told when they get a little bit older or nearing school to, shh, I'm not giving a sandwich to your buddy because there's nobody in that chair.
My son used to tell me, remember Mommy in our other life?
Aww.
Oh my gosh.
And he said, you were my mommy. And I usually would say, tell me more about it.
Yeah.
But he lost that ability.
what happens is if it isn't nurtured, then at age 4 it starts fading. By age 7, it's gone. Yeah, if it isn't nurtured, yeah. A few people will retain it, like those that become eventually mediums or psychics, but most people, yeah, if it's not nurtured or if the family isn't involved in it, then they're shushed because it will be shut off if they go to school because no one else, understands that, and they're told stop that. Oh, if we only knew what we could help them with here early on, if we allowed. And there's more and more parents now that are aware and that are encouraging that amongst the young ones. And the ones being born now are completely different beings than we were. They're very tuned in. So it's beautiful to watch. I can see it in my granddaughter.
Oh,
yeah.
the youth are so empathetic and connected. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
She'd go over to my crystals and she'd pick one up. She learned that if she took the quartz crystal and she took it over to where the sunlight was coming and she could make rainbows on the walls. And she would just she just loved, loves playing in them. And,
That thing that you put in everybody's basket.
Oh, you text me. I'm sorry, I didn't get back to you. That long thing?
Yeah.
It's selenite. It's a crystal. It is wonderful for meditation. So if you want to go within and get clarity or answers, in fact, I meditated today. I had one stuck right here, and I wear an eye mask, and I have one that broke. It's thinner, and I stick it at the top of my eye mask where my third eye is at. Oh my! I have profound insights when I put those on me. Or you can hold them in your hand.
You said
when
don't
you're
use them late.
late at night. It opens you up, so it may keep you alert at night. But I will meditate with them earlier in the day, and they're I literally feel them when I hold them. I feel a vibrating sense, but they also, selenite doesn't hold any negative energy. They also clear other crystals. Did you get a second crystal in your basket or your bag? Some did. We had different things in them, but let's say that you had a rose quartz crystal. Some crystals retain energies. Let's say you had somebody come over that was in a foul mood. They can affect what's going on in the crystal. You can take other crystals and lay them on top of that stick of selenite, and the selenite will clear everything out
You're
of.
not supposed to throw it at people?
You can walk.
On your life, you just talk like you were Stoney.
You have free will.
Slip it into people's pockets,
Yeah.
drop it in their bag.
But you can put another crystal on the selenite, and the selenite clears the crystal out, but does not retain whatever's negative in the crystal, if that makes sense. Yeah, so it's a clearing,
So
cleansing.
why would a crystal be negative?
If it absorbed negative energies. So let's say somebody came in your house that was in a foul mood or was
Okay.
grouchy, or a fight occurred in the house, or, am I saying that right? Yeah. If something,
It's frequency.
yeah, it's
energy.
frequency.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll help clear, yeah. If you are housing, because they do retain energy, then clearing them regularly helps, so that you've got the pure clear crystals. And then you can put intent into your crystals, so you can, we have devices down here, the AO Scam will actually embed frequency in crystals, so you can choose from a ton of different frequencies if you want them embedded in a crystal, but you can also do it with intention. This is how the ancients worked. This is how crystal technology was their technology. And it's also where they stored information.
I
Yeah.
want to hear more about your Egypt trip, what experiences you had.
That's a whole nother session.
That's a whole.
That's a series. I've got phenomenal pictures. I'll have to put a slide, we'll have to help me put a slideshow together. I've
That
never
would
done
be-
this. I've got
the
all the
stories are-
photographs.
You'll get all types of.
Oh my God. No, this one you want to look at on a big, the pictures are, duh. I didn't know what I was stepping into. I didn't know why I was going. I just knew the compulsion was overwhelming, and I didn't know anything about Egypt, had never had a desire to go, and knew it was I now know why I was forced to go, literally, because I needed to have that information so I could proceed with what I'm doing here. And I didn't know anything about Egypt until I came back. I didn't understand most of what I saw there because it was beyond but when I got back, then the information, the books, the Gaia programs just flooded in, and then but at that point I had a reference for everything because I was physically there looking at it, and then now it made sense. And it's continuing to make more. I had a client recently that came in and answered a huge question about Egypt for me. Not intentionally, but it came through in his, He was a being from Egypt, and actually Ra, the sun god, and actually explained how to manifest. It was, that's...
Came in person?
A gentleman came here for a QHHT session. 26 years ago, he'd had a profound experience and had all this stuff dumped into him, and he didn't know what to do with it, and he's been sitting on it for 26 years. And he finally, a friend of mine, a practitioner from another modality in Haley, was working with him, and when she heard that, I explained to her what QHHT was, and she then told him, you need to go see he had so many questions that she couldn't answer. He says, you need to go see this woman, me, because they'll help you get the answers you want. And boy, did we.
I bought wrapping paper, Egyptian wrapping paper 43 years ago. I've never used it, and every time I open it up and it's, no, I have to keep this for a reason.
Oh.
And it's very Egyptian. It was,
Yeah.
my cousin sold it through school
That's awesome.
43 years ago.
Because many of us, if not most of us, were we had an existence there. It was part of,
Yeah.
And yeah. No, you'll see how all this stuff connects. It's just like puzzle pieces. Just when you think the puzzle's done, no, you get more pieces. And it's amazing. So it's fascinating. Oh,
This is fun, you guys. Thank you. Thank you for being.
that. Well, we would love to have just be a continuous thing where we just get more and more clarity, more and more answers, and so thank you guys.
The vision
for-
is to have this really become a community, so we can. What's the word when you gather and you get to share your share? I forget the word, but you get to share with each other,
Yeah.
and then receive spiritual messages and inspiration.
I'm getting collective is the word that they're giving me, but just a collective where everyone has something to offer, and we all have things to learn. We're learning from you guys here. We always will, and we're learning from this session and how to. We're just trusting that. We were told that if we just offered this, that we would be the guidance. We would be guided as to what to share and offer, and so thank you guys for allowing us to do that. And
Yeah.
And with Ron, I will get the same eye rolls from Frank. Like you did with Ron, I will get the same eye rolls from Frank.
regarding okay. Oh no! Welcome to the world. No, you just have to. I don't want to say the word thick skin, but that's what's coming in.
It doesn't bother me, but
Yeah.
I just don't even explain it to him. I said,
No, yeah.
I'm going over to Bonnie's.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I learned early on because I was so excited when I first started to finally get this.
Noise.
Oh,
It's gone now.
okay. I've got buzzing going. I have a frequency buzzing going on. I'm hearing a frequency, but
I don't know. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I've got frequency on the right. When I first started to become aware that I was obtaining and learning new things, I became very excited about what I was learning, and my initial instinct was to share with everybody that I could. And I found real quickly on that, you got to be. And I know I scared my kids, and I didn't mean to. And my husband, didn't get it. He did say to me, he said, I know you're excited about this, and I know it means something to you, but I don't want to hear another word about this. This is not.
When I find my religious friends,
Oh, my sister-in-law.
you're going to hell.
My sister-in-law put a pink Bible in my suitcase, and a 6-page letter she stayed up all night and typed when we left her house in Oregon. So I came back with this: "You're on the wrong path. You're going to go to hell."
I've gotten that too. Yeah.
Bless her heart, yeah. And I read that and went, oh my God. I didn't respond to it. It's fear. It's when a tradition or a belief instills fear, does that feel like love? Does that feel like, that's what's happened for a long time. That's why it was formed in the first place. It was in college. I was guided by somebody in a fraternity. I needed to raise my GPA because I wasn't doing so well, and several guys told me at a party that take a religion class. I go, heck no. And they said, it's the easiest A in the university. I said, well, I don't want to take religion. No, everybody gets an A. It'll raise your GPA. So all these fraternity and sorority people were in. This class was packed with all these frat and sorority people, and they had no interest in it, but they were in there for the easy A. And sure enough, I took the history of religion and the origin of the denominations, 2 different semesters. easy A's, but I found myself fascinated by this, which surprised me, but learned how the Bible was written and when the Roman Empire was trying to control the masses. And yeah, so they took stuff that was pure but added all their rules. It's a playbook to keep the people in line. Yeah, there's truth in it and there's a lot of distortion. And it was, yeah. But a lot of fear is instilled in that.
Yeah.
And hatred. It's just how they controlled the masses at the
I
time.
never understood why you should be God-fearing.
Oh,
I
it's,
never understood that. Even at 12, I did not
Yeah.
understand that.
when you know that God is love, that's an oxymoron. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember, because my mother's family was Mormon and my dad's family was Catholic, so I was raised in the middle of both of those. We did go to the Catholic church, but we were very familiar with the Mormon. I've been to their services too. And I remember both of them were very staunch in their belief that theirs was the only religion that would get you to the heavenly realm and that everybody else was not going there. And I remember as a 10-year-old, I asked my mother, wait a minute, my cousins who I like here are a different religion, then does that mean that they're, and her answer was, yeah, it's correct. I'm going, why would God do that? And I remember even, I said, they don't have it, they're little kids, they don't have a choice. Their parents took them there. They didn't choose that. But the adult rationale didn't make sense to me as a child. I'm not knocking religion. If that's what somebody, if that helps someone, then wonderful. Whatever, there's truth in all of it. It's just that, but there's also human distortion, and so you have to, rather than just blindly follow things that don't make, if something within you is going, this doesn't make sense, we need to go, wait a minute.
For me personally, that feeling is anxiety. Like, my anxiety, if I walk into a room and someone's energy's off,
Yeah.
just completely comes over me.
That's your body speaks to you.
Yeah.
And you've always had that going on. I know for me, I trained myself to just override it and force myself to stay in the room and to go along with the crowd. And I made myself physically sick, but I didn't want to upset or rock the boat or go against the grain. And so I just forced myself to continue in situations that weren't my highest path. And I see that now, but I didn't back then.
Right.
Trying to be a good girl.
I brought up Catholic,
Yeah.
and my mom's super Catholic, and she thinks that everything else is not really
Yeah.
positive. So I've been trying to work on her for a while with that.
Yeah.
At least get her to be more accepting. I might be starting to get somewhere, but we'll see.
My mother it never worked in her lifetime. She was very set in her ways. I've come to understand that it isn't my job to wake others up, and that if I do try to assert my understanding on them, they will reject or react, or I become ostracized. And so those it could be post office, grocery store, filling station, wherever I go, the people that you're meant to connect with come to you. God sends them to you. You don't look for them.
Yeah.
They will appear. It's like magic, where it just,
I don't know, Bonnie, if this is something to do with this already, but probably for the last 6 or 7 years, like, I can just look at someone and they can just, like, even be turned away from me. I can't even see their face. And I can feel their energy.
Wow.
When I was like working cashier at Fred Meyer, before I would even have someone say hi to me, they were just unloading their groceries onto the belt. I was like, oh no, go back and start this over.
Wow.
And that's when I can read their energy.
Yeah.
It's positive energy, obviously doesn't give me anxiety, but
Yeah.
if it's negative, I just, like you said, it makes you feel.
And so you're an empath, you're a true empath. And so and that's nothing I've learned, it's nothing to fear. It just means you're highly tuned in. You just need to, again, set boundaries and protection, and that way. Something too, whenever I learned, because I literally suck everybody's energy, and if I'm not watching, if I'm not controlling it, when you raise your frequency, you literally become like a lighthouse, and other people have no idea what's going on, but those of a lower frequency, the system will attach onto you and drain your energy because it fuels them, because they aren't fueling themselves. They don't know they're doing it. It's just an automatic thing. And I, for a long time, didn't know what was happening. I would go into public. We used to do home shows for an entire weekend. We'd work at a home show. I had a blast doing it. Met amazing people, laughed, had a great time. But I would literally be incapacitated for 4 days after the home show because I was like, the day afterwards I'd wake up like I'd been in a car wreck, and I was so fit, and I was having to go to a practitioner every 2 weeks to get myself back together. So I've just since learned that if I'm going into a large public area, that I set protection, a shorter version of what I did today, a very quick, short. And after you do it a few times, it just all I have to do is think the words set protection, and I feel it's almost like the transformer just takes over and it does it. And then as I leave the building, I clear. If anything did attach on, I clear it off so that I'm not carrying it around with me throughout the day. Because I used to collect stuff for weeks, and then I'd walk into this guy's office and he'd go, "Holy moly, there's 1,000 people stuck to you." No wonder I'm dragging in there. So just a matter of learning, nothing to fear. You just learn to manage it, and we can coach you with that. Yeah, that's what this is about.
When you go into a hospital,
Huh?
how do you feel when you go into a hospital?
Compassionate. Yeah, I feel there's, I just feel there's almost like just a serenity and a compassion, and it's usually quieter in there anyway, but my heart goes out. There's people that are in need, and how do you feel when you go into one?
I've never thought about it before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't feel suffering. I don't feel pain. I just feel, I guess.
Yeah, hospitals are interesting. I used to work in a hospital. It was before I realized I was empathic, and some of my anxieties were from other people sometimes. And I always felt so peaceful in the hospital. And I reflect back on that sometimes thinking, trying to tune into what is it about the hospital, because you would think there can be grief there can be pain, but I don't know, it always felt nice and peaceful
Angels
there.
in hospitals.
There.
Angelic, ton of angelic. Everyone's team is collected around them as they're trying to heal. There are just tons of angels. Same thing with historic churches. They're just, I was in Paris. I didn't get to go to Notre Dame before it burned. I wanted to go. My husband wouldn't go to that one, but we went to another one up on a hill. I can't remember the name of it, but walked into this ancient cathedral, Catholic cathedral in Paris, and I literally flung out of my body and was on the ceiling of that place and didn't want to leave. I tortured my husband. We had to sit there for an hour and a half in the pew while I couldn't leave. It was just, I think I was just soaring through that whole thing. It was a massive structure, but it's just, there's so much angelic activity in there. But hospitals, the same way, full of angels. Because the angels are there for the doctors, are there for the patients.
I worked in a hospital too. I never thought about how I felt. I worked in a surgery ward.
Oh, they're all
Oh.
over the,
Yeah, that's more intense.
yeah.
Oh, there's-
But you guys have had amazing questions and input, and
There's a book, if you're interested in reading, I haven't finished it, but Pat Longo wrote a book called The Gifts Beneath My Anxiety, and she's really interesting. So I know the basis of the book is just when you have anxiety, it's empathic and your spiritual gifts speaking to you, but I think she provides techniques and things in there to help manage that,
What's it called?
The Gifts Beneath My Anxiety. Or the gifts beneath your anxiety.
wonderful. I'm going to have to read that. And remember to ask your team.
Yeah.
Say, help me with this. I learned early on Florence Scovel Shinn wrote books back in the 1920s, profound, but you put your hand on your heart. Go ahead and do it with me. And say the words along with me. It sounds archaic because it's 1920s language, but it works. I cast this anxiety
I cast this anxiety
on the Christ within,
on the Christ within,
and I go free
and I go free
in love and peace.
in love and peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel my heartbeat.
Oh, I like that.
That's beautiful.
Now
I
you
usually don't feel my heartbeat.
you can modernize the words by saying, I give this anxiety to the Christ within, and I go free and love. The cast was the word they used back in the 19th. But it's just, anytime that you're having anything going on that's unnerving you or disturbing you, if you can remember to basically give it away. I give this to the Christ within, and I go free in love and peace.
But you have to keep your eyes open when you drive.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Not at the stoplight.
You can, whatever you want to do.
Eyes closed when you're driving.
Yeah, it works whenever, but I like to sink in if I can, close my eyes, but yeah. Yeah, but give it away. We don't have to carry this stuff and manage it. Your team is right there. I also would envision if things were really, after my son died, it was, oh, the amount that would, the waves that would come through of just horrible grief and guilt and woulda, shoulda, couldas, and oh my, it was just like a whole year of this just was torture. But I would get overwhelmed, and I was also taught to imagine all of that being put, imagine like a tablecloth, and you put all that grief or all that anxiety or all that pain in the center, and then you know how you pick the corners up and you make so it's all within, and you tie a thing around it to make a bundle, and then you put a whole clump of helium balloons on it and just let it float. So whatever you can do to envision it floating away and leaving you. But I just kept giving away, just giving it away. And
Taught, I use this with my mother-in-law, think of them as a child, and they are not like they are today.
Oh,
And you love the child.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That was kind of the reason why I decided to come here tonight, because my anxiety has had such bad issues in the past. I've been in the emergency room 3 times because they thought I was going into cardiac arrest.
Oh,
One of the times when I was working at the hospital, they just wheeled me down in a wheelchair to the emergency room. But that's why I came tonight, because anxiety is real, and that
Oh, yeah.
just didn't really help.
oh, I've had panic attacks.
Yeah.
I know what that. I know what that feels like. Your body goes into shock.
My
Yeah.
heart just, it feels like there's an engine inside there,
Yeah,
just shaking
yeah.
around.
So how's it feeling now?
Calm, much
Oh,
calmer.
you have the ability to create this whenever you want. It's just learning that.
Yeah, it's also, because so many more people being born right now are more sensitive to energies and frequencies, it's almost like humanity needs to adjust faster. And you see a lot of people starting to live from their RVs or get homesteads or whatever. A lot of it is spurred by, I can't feel like this anymore. And maybe they don't fully know that it's the energy and the frequency, but they know that it's the environment, right? That keeps triggering this anxiety or triggering the thoughts that create the anxiety. And so we're starting to remove ourselves from these cubicles or these jobs or get closer to nature or whatever it may be, and think about, when I feel peace, where am I? When I feel peace, what am I doing? And how do I get in that environment more instead of environments where I feel anxiety, like in an office, in a cubicle? All these things can really trigger feelings because they're unnatural, and we're spending a lot less time in nature. And I think this is actually a message for you as well, of taking time to put your feet in the grass or go in the water.
Barefoot.
Or you could even do the ice bathing. I don't know if you've seen that. Go hugging trees. You do the forest bathing, which is you're in nature, but you're loving nature. So you're not doing anything to exert yourself. You're just out in nature, exploring the peace and the beauty and feeling the connection. And that actually scientifically helps the body begin to heal. There's something that nature gives off that helps our cells and our body heal. And for a lot of us sensitive people, it's like we're being called and drawn back into how things, and being more connected, I'll say, with nature, and getting our feet in the grass and getting out of this, all these lights and all the Wi-Fi and all the electricity and the darkness of being in a bunch of places without windows or in traffic.
Positive ions,
Yeah. I personally believe that it's very helpful to get back into that. And maybe with your truck driving or traveling, you'll have more time to be in nature and reconnect and become really aware of when you feel equilibrium.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to be feeling good or anything like that. It's just that equilibrium where there's not an anxiousness, and then follow that. Yeah, because anxiety is real. It can be it can affect every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
And the challenge is we're forced to live this lifestyle that for sensitive people is
Not fun.
it's not fun, and it's not the best. It's not nourishing for our physical bodies, for our minds, our spiritual bodies. So we have to start thinking kind of outside of the box.
Right.
Yeah, it's an interesting time right now, seeing people start to shift their lifestyles and how they make money and how I think COVID in some ways triggered that in a lot of people, just being home or being more with family or having more time, thinking, wait a minute, I feel better actually now that for some people's mental health, it wasn't the best, but a lot of people, they were removed from their primary stress and realizing, oh, that's actually really unhealthy for me.
Hustle, bustle, everyday life, yeah.
In my neighborhood, I was still walking dogs then. People sat out in their front lawns, which they'd never done, and were so pleasant to talk to as you walked past their house. They were so overjoyed that you walked past them. It was interesting to watch completely different people.
Yeah.
And they were just, every evening they just sat in the front and watched their kids play in the front. And you didn't go near them because it was quarantine, but they were very at peace and happy and joyous. And I just love that, yeah. We got a taste of what life, can
Could
be
be
like.
if we
yeah.
slowed down. We're not meant to be.
Hurry, scurry, hustle, bustle,
Yeah.
rush. Yeah, so.
I think people can still, because I agree a lot with what you're saying. It's interesting because I definitely agree with going to nature as much as you can, but I think balance is a huge thing. Because like different movements nowadays are like, I just want to go live in the forest, and that's okay, that's cool, but how realistic is that? But also, because sometimes I like to go to San Francisco all the time, and when I go to San Francisco, I feel really peaceful, and I get a lot of information, but it's a big city. I'm not getting, I notice everything, but I feel it's not a stressful energy
Yeah.
for me. But I can feel like that in the woods too, but it's not always like.
It could be different for everyone here. We were talking about being in Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand, a few years back, and it is horrifically crowded as that was. They're 95% Buddhist, and it was the most serene, beautiful energy. It was-
Temples within the city.
Oh, just, and crammed and packed and crowds, but it was just, the energy was so loving, and so it just, whatever you connect with here. Some people couldn't tolerate SF or San Francisco, but others, like you.
Because I'm one of the ones that I go there and I'm at peace.
Oh, I know people that love New York City.
She's lived another life there before?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
But I also feel peace in nature. It's just
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
She-
Feeling.
She can accommodate both, and so wonderful.
Yeah.
There's no wrong. There's no,
Yeah,
it's all perfect. It's just
Yeah.
learning that,
yeah.
just discovering who you really are is so joyous and so beautiful, and there's nothing to fear, nothing to worry about, and just knowing that, what's right for you will come to you if you allow it.
Well, and beach. Who doesn't like going to beach? Like, well, no.
I do miss that about South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've heard their beaches are amazing.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. I would, if you have any questions further about QHHT or any of the stuff that we offer here, please talk to us. Oh, there will Alicia's.
Writing things down.
Okay, let us help you with the session, and life evolving, life changing.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Marie?
Oh my God. Yeah, I had two of them. One went back in time 3,000 years, and then one went in the future. And
In the future?
yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that would be fun.
We're starting to offer
Yes.
that as an option.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Apparently, I helped start that here.
yeah, you did. You really did.
But what did you do in the future?
I was in the city in the clouds.
You are in the city, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was in the city.
Yeah, you are.
In the clouds and futuristic, and there was like flying cars and stuff, and I could like hover around, and I could like control my house and control things with my brain.
Jetsons.
Yeah. And then but also I was,
Cheers,
like,
George
teaching all
Jetson.
these people,
Oh,
and it was really cool because then it was like more of a matriarchy, and it was really cool.
Interesting. I've been having this issue, and I don't know, probably not an issue, where I feel like I don't know how to explain it. Feels like my eyelids are closing on my life.
oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, that's the first time I've thought about it that way.
Like they're really heavy, or what do you mean? Like how do you mean by that?
Like your current existence, the shades want to come down on your current existence?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we want to be aware of other options, it's not that you're shutting off this current existence, but
No,
there's
it's
other.
just, okay, I've got to go somewhere else.
Yeah, because as long as you're focused on this physical reality, it pulls you away from the other things that you could be witnessing or seeing.
So I'm
So, yeah,
interested. I'm
yeah.
so excited about sleeping tonight.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. I wonder
Yes.
where you're gonna go.
Oh, Alicia, I'm so happy for you. This has triggered something that's going to be amazing. And in the QHHT, we can direct your physical discomfort to be released and to go away.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
we've had absolutely, well, speak for myself, or just people reporting just an immediate shut off. A neighbor of mine has had migraines once to twice a week for 20 years. They shut off. She hasn't even had a head twinge in
And I'm
2
not
months.
like your friend, I want to get rid of this stuff because it
Yeah,
prevents me from doing
right.
other things.
Yeah. She has suffered with migraines for 20 years, once to twice, debilitating, knockout, horrible. She's learned to just deal with it.
Yeah.
It went away. She's not even had a head twinge since her session.
But I won't have an excuse for Botox then.
You can still get Botox.
So fun.
Oh my gosh, you're, oh, anyway, so that, or we can leave the headaches in place.
Funny, keep those headaches.
I'll just act like I still have them for insurance.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, funny, get your cosmetic procedures taken care of by insurance. Oh, guys, thank you so much here.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, amazing. That,